And so I'm curious, as you were writing this Egyptian heiress as a heroine, how much going in did you know that you wanted it to be a story of like what was her experience coming to England and being an other and confronting that versus how much of that came up as you were just writing?
Well, it's funny because like I think I know people say don't read reviews, but it was my debut, so I'm reading all the reviews. I think somebody made a comment, and I said this to someone at the time that they said the English parts were kind of clunky, like they wanted the Egyptian parts more. There was that familiarity, right? And there was that comfort maybe in my writing. And I wanted it to be a little clunky because it was clunky for her. You know, she has all these emotions going in. And yeah, I think that I wanted to put myself in her shoes, right? And I wanted the reader to put themselves in her shoes and see that, yes, these are these prejudices that haven't really like left. Right. When people know each other and people get to know each other and realize, okay, and especially the one with the pig, right? Because a lot of people will say, oh, Muslims don't eat pig, and this is her reaction to it, and they would use it against them. And so I wanted to just kind of confront that one. So and I wanted to confront issues right head on. So I think I did go into it with this kind of modern day. These are the prejudices that have, been born out of this history for such a long time. And so yeah, I think I did do it purposefully that I wanted it to be clunky. I wanted her to confront these prejudices and kind of apply it to this modern reader and say, look, we existed in this world, it happened, and this is how we face it then, this is how we face it now.
I think it's helpful for, like I'm more familiar with the English side of the history and everything, and also the English perspective. I haven't had that many opportunities to read disruptive narratives that are
Yeah.
from not the, traditional school of thought. And so it's just really refreshing and interesting and challenging to get characters saying, well, this is weird that you do this. And like have that opportunity to kind of reevaluate what do I think is normal? What makes that normal? Now, I was talking to another author recently who is writing Mexican characters, and she brought them to England in part because that would sell the book more to her publishers and presumably to readers. Did you consider setting your books in Egypt? Were you kind of required to bring it to England in order to get it into market?
No, I wasn't required, especially for this one, but the types of stories are too heavy, right? Like too out of there. So like I was querying, I have about 5 books in my drawer, as they say, right? That didn't have enough traction, right? So having this character who was, going to England you know, and even yeah. You're bringing up issues here right now. For sure, this idea of what will sell, right? And I think that like I'm a big believer in the familiarity, right? Things that are familiar but with novelty, right? So things that are familiar are good. Like these are the kind of books I would like to read, right? But I want that little twist. I want that little showing me something different. So for her storyline to actually, her going to England, I think that that was part of what I had intended. Anyway, I wanted to show you somebody in this realm going to this place and, being tough and willing to, stick to her principles no matter where she was, but finding it difficult as well. And so this idea of wanting her to go there for sure. In this next book, though, in the Viscount, which came out, I was like, no, this one's all set in Egypt, right? And I wanted to show a different aspect. Look, this is the royal opulence of Egypt. So, yeah, we have this, poor man Viscount who doesn't have many prospects, and you have this princess who is very much a princess, right? Who has this kind of legacy behind her and history, and there's opulence there, and it's all Cairo. And I'm from Alexandria, so Alexandria actually is very, personal to me. It's where I was born. It's where when we go back and visit, it's where I stay. So even Cairo for me was kind of an adventure because
Yeah,
I spent a lot of time there. So doing a lot of research for Cairo in this time period, it was so fun because it was really like a jaunt, right? And there's not too many pyramids in there. Like there's like a scene of the pyramids in the background. It's not even the pyramids. So it's a Cairo, I think, too, that people will totally be unfamiliar with, that was this rich, opulent, could beat anybody in England at the time kind of thing, right? So it was really fun to just completely have it. Like there's a prologue that happens in Paris, but we don't stay there long. The whole thing is in Cairo. So yeah,
that's awesome.
it was kind of fun, and yeah, I don't know. I hope people will enjoy it.
Yeah, I am sure because there's also this tradition of historical romances that are like travel historical romances.
Yeah.
So this is in that vein, but a little different center.
Yeah. And even with the first one, like, my editor and my copy editor and everybody, they were like, oh, would this happen in England at the time? Would this happen? And it was like kind of actually a challenge, right? To kind of like, okay, yeah, this would happen. This would happen. And so I had to kind of keep backing. But being back on my turf, like, yeah, this
Yeah,
definitely happened in car. So there's a familiarity with being in a time period in a place that you have a little bit more freedom, and there's not like that much, kind of like you said earlier, around, perceptions already. Breaking those perceptions is going to be a lot harder than giving the same time period in a place that people don't know anything about, right? And
yeah,
so for them, it's just now, like you're saying, travel experience. It's like something they're not really going to be jolted as something like a dinner scene that would normally occur, and this kind of jolts it in that way. So it's different experience for sure, but
yeah.
hopefully just as nice.
It sounds amazing.